Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Hello and welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Lucy Liebfried in Chicago. Are you ready for another Paranormal Friday night? Thank you all for joining us tonight. We welcome our regular listeners and those of you who have tuned in for the very first time. If you have a question for our guest or about the topic tonight, feel free to ask us in the chat room or call into the show at 661-244-9831. Please press the number 1 to speak to the host. Now, don't forget you can always send us an email with future topics you'd like to see on the show, or maybe you have a story or a theory or a dream that you want to share with us on air. Our new email address is paranormal.review@aol.com. We also have our own YouTube channel where you can watch all of our previous shows. Now, don't forget to check us out on our Facebook show page for more info on the paranormal and upcoming shows.
You know, Henry David Thoreau once said, "Dreams are the touchstones of our characters." But is it our character that is being judged, or are dreams merely expressing what we long to be? To this day, dreams have been a wonderment to philosophers and scientists ever since the dawn of man. No one has yet to come forward to explain why we dream, or for that matter, the function and purpose of sleep itself. Some researchers suggest that dreams serve no real purpose, while others believe that dreaming is essential to mental, emotional, and physical well-being. Whichever you believe, our guest tonight might either confirm your feelings or change the way you view your subconscious visions. Pamela Cummins is a musical psychic who specializes in love and relationships, personal growth, life direction, and dream interpretation. Pamela hosts the Love Channel show and is a frequent guest on numerous radio shows. She is the author of Psychic Wisdom on Love and Relationships and Insights for Singles, Steps to Finding Everlasting Love. Pamela writes monthly columns for Bellsbury Magazine. She is available for readings, coaching, and workshops. And for more information, go to her website, PamelaCummins.com. I think I said that right, PamelaCummins.com. Tonight is all about dreams and dream interpretation. So if you have a dream that you would like Pamela to explain, give us a call now at 661-244-9831. Pamela will be giving a few of our listeners dream interpretations, so call in now to secure a spot. Please join me in welcoming the musical psychic herself, Pamela Cummins. Welcome to the show, Pamela. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. We're talking about one of my favorite topics, dreams, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Hi, Pamela.
Hi, Lucia. Is it Lucy?
Lucy.
Lucy. I'm so sorry, Lucy. Okay. And sorry about that.
No, don't worry about it. I've been called worse.
Yeah, so have I.
Well, you know what? It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And I'm sure the title musical psychic has our listeners scratching their heads right now. So can you explain what that title means?
Sure. It's actually some of my clients gave me that. A lot of times when I give messages, well, the way I mostly describe it, it's like I have a huge jukebox in my head. Somebody will ask me a question, and my guides will play A13, let's say, and a song lyric will come out. You know, for example, somebody might say, well, I just met this guy, and how's it going to be? And I'll hear the song lyric, Getting to Know You. Another song lyric I hear a lot is Follow the Yellow Brick Road. Sometimes I get commercial songs, and other times they'll give me a song lyric, but they'll change around the lyrics. So it's really neat how that works. And depending upon who I'm talking to, for instance, a musician, I might get like song lyric after song lyric after song lyric. So that is why they call me the musical psychic.
That is so cool. Well, when did you first realize you had psychic abilities?
You know, I think I've always known them, but quite honestly, in my childhood, it just wasn't safe. I shut them off very early. And it wasn't until about 1989, early 90s, that I started getting back in touch with them, because I started my spiritual growth and also my personal growth. I had a lot of personal healing to do. And actually, it's interesting the way a lot of my psychic abilities came. It first started coming through my dreams. That's why I really love dream interpretation, because I was getting all these wild dreams, and I was getting all these, it was really post-traumatic stress disorder, and I was getting all these wacky feelings. And I went to a therapist for help, and she helped me interpret my dreams. And what was really neat is I had a lot of precognitive dreams about things that were going to happen, but I also had a lot of symbolic dreams. And that's what got me back in touch with my psychic abilities, by learning the symbolism. And from my dream time, it started coming into my waking time. So it was a very interesting journey.
Well, you know what? You seem to spend most of your abilities in helping with love and relationships. Is there a particular reason why you specialize in this area? Well,
I gravitated, and one of the reasons is I'm a Libra, and I'm not really, I know a little bit about astrology, but obviously a Libra is about love and relationships. And I've always been the type of person, you hand a newspaper to me, when there used to be newspapers, it's now mostly online, and I'd go right to Dear Abby or Ann Landers, because I was so fascinated by relationships, not just love relationships, but by relationships. Although I have to admit that when I was in junior high, the majority of the people wrote, if all the boys lived across the street, what a good swimmer Pamela would be, because I was definitely boy crazy. And also, it's true, and also my own journey on love and relationships. One of the things that makes me so good with love and relationships, quite honestly, is because I made so many mistakes and because I had to learn the hard way. So, it's, some people just gravitate to a certain type of music, or you gravitate to a certain kind of food or a certain kind of work. I just gravitate to love and relationships. It's what really makes me happy. People interest me, and the way that they interact interests me. Even relationships with animals interest me. So that's why, in a nutshell, why I specialize in love and relationships.
Well, Pamela, tonight our main focus is about dreams and dream interpretations. And now many different people have different viewpoints on what dreams mean, let alone what it is and why we do it. What do you feel dreams are? I mean, what do you think dreams really are, and why do you feel that we have dreams?
Oh, wow. That is a question, and I'm going to answer that with partly, I'm going to begin it with something I said to a woman one time, and it freaked her out. And it's like, well, how do we know that dream times really aren't where we're, experiencing reality, and what our so-called reality isn't a dream? Okay, so, by flipping it that way, it's like, well, how can we say that this is real? To me, what dreams are is the secret language of the subconscious mind, but also it connects us to, I want to say, home. You can call it heaven, the other side, your angels, your guides, but dreams really help us to discover who we are. So,
do you feel that it's us creating that journey, or do you feel that sort of an ethereal spirit or being or light that's actually helping us focus those visions or those goals?
I want to say both. Okay? That's what I want to say. Whether I call it angels and guides. Some people call it higher self, God, whatever you want to call it. My personal belief, and of course I can't prove any of this, but my personal belief is everything is God. We're all one. Okay? And when we're in the physical state, and I hope I don't insult anybody by this, but we're really kind of in a lower state. We're in a lower vibration. So when we dream, we go up to a higher vibration, and it brings us back into, I guess you could say, our godly self, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. Does everyone dream? Do we all dream when we fall asleep?
Well, actually, and I'm not very scientific, but I have watched some scientific things about dreams, and yes, everybody does dream. You've seen dogs and cats when they twitch and stuff, but everybody does dream, because if you didn't dream, you would die. You need that, I think it's called REM, state of mind. So, yes, that's where we go really deep. And quite honestly, and this is my personal belief, when we dream, we connect to the higher realms. We connect to our godly self, and we need that. We need just like we need food and water and air and sunlight and all that. We need that spiritual nourishment.
I think people sort of doubt whether or not we dream because, I don't know, maybe it's just me that's talking, but for the most part, many people don't remember the dreams, and so they feel as though they probably didn't have one if they don't remember it. And so I think that's probably why there's that question, do we really dream when we fall asleep each and every time?
Okay, and I'm going to answer that by saying, do you remember what you had for lunch 5 years ago today?
No.
Okay.
I don't even know what I had for lunch today.
Okay. Yes. So yes, science. It's been, if you want to go into the scientific, it's been scientifically proved. But we do dream. We just don't always remember our dreams. And quite honestly, I don't remember every single one of my dreams. It's just impossible. But we do dream, and I could go into the philosophy of past lives. Why don't we remember that? But we do have flashes of that, and sometimes in our dreams. One thing I'm going to suggest, okay, now I want to make it clear, like the study of dream interpretation takes years. It's probably harder to learn than Latin or going to medical school, quite honestly, because there is really no correct formula, but if you want to start remembering your dreams, it's going to take time, but there's a couple things you can do. One is you can say right before bed, I'm going to remember my dreams, and you can even use it as a mantra and fall asleep. I'm going to remember my dreams, because it will go into your subconscious. You can write a letter, put it underneath your pillow. You can ask God and the angels to help you remember your dreams, and be open to it, because usually first thing in the morning, you'll be like, oh, I had this really crazy dream, and it kind of escapes. So it's good to have a pen and paper by the bed, or a tape recorder, or, whatever, that you want to use to record it. Okay? But sometimes, some people, it's going to take longer. For instance, I stink at, fishing, okay? And if I wanted to become a good fisherwoman, I would have to do it constantly and practice and practice. It's the same thing with dream interpretation and remembering your dreams. So some people, they might remember right away. Some people, it might take them a long time. But I know that so many people do dream. And again, if you have an animal, if you have a pet, watch them. You can see them when they're dreaming.
Right,
kind of funny.
right.
Or even your child, if you have children, or your girlfriend, your boyfriend. You can tell the difference when they're dreaming.
Well, Pamela, one thing that just popped into my head: is it possible that if you don't remember most of your dreams, and the ones you do remember, is it those are the ones that you're supposed to remember?
Yes. I mean, and for instance, recurring dreams. Some people will remember I've had the same dream over and over, but I might insult somebody with this. But, us human beings, we can be stupid. We need to hear it again and again and again. And that's what recurring dreams. We need it to be repeated and repeated and repeated. And certain dreams, yes, we are definitely supposed to remember. I can remember a dream from when I was 6 years old. I can remember a dream from when I was 1992, about even earlier, 1991, I want to say. I can remember some of those dreams because they were so profound. And some of them I wrote down, but even dreams that I haven't wrote down, because when I got my cat Midnight, who's been dead for about 5 years now, when I stopped writing my dreams because she wanted to be fed first thing in the morning, I'd try to write them down and she'd swat the pen and stuff, and it was just impossible. But I did the important ones, yes, I definitely remember, and other people have told me the same thing, that they'll just remember this dream. A woman I know used to dream about bridges a lot, and she was terrified about bridges, and she could never cross the bridge until she accomplished a work goal, and then she was able to cross the other side. Yeah, which is interesting.
We've done shows on lucid dreaming and the idea of being able to control our dreams. Do you believe in this theory?
I do, and quite honestly, I'm not an expert at it, but I have done it in the past, especially and it's really useful when you're having a nightmare, obviously. But definitely, I believe in the theory.
So, what do you find are some of the common myths or misconceptions about dreams and their meanings? Does death in a dream really mean death?
Well, and you're going into symbolism, and one of the things that I tell people, that you are the best interpreter of your dream, because something could mean so many different things. For example, death. You could dream of death, and that could be in the tarot deck, the transformation card. You could be transforming into something else. A death could mean the end of a relationship, an end of a job. A death could quite literally mean that somebody is going to die. Okay? And it depends upon the context that it's in. If you're at somebody's funeral, it could even bring up the post-traumatic stress disorder stuff. Maybe you didn't grieve somebody's death. So that's just one example. Symbolism, it can mean so many different things. And again, it's the context that it's in. Another example I could give you is like a house, okay? And for instance, the kitchen usually represents, nourishment, where you're going to be fed. It also represents the family, the hearth. I want to say the lifeline. To some people, the kitchen could represent chores, or it could represent cooking, or I'm sorry, my mind's going blank. Other things like a basement could be the lower part of yourself. The attic could be the higher part of yourself. But then to somebody else who's afraid of the attic, or God forbid, they were punished and sent to the attic could be a very scary place. So it depends, again, on the dreamer. A house, a beautiful house, could be a place where you feel very safe, but then it could be run down, and maybe your life feels run down. So those are just a few examples of symbolisms of dreams.
So in order to interpret a dream, then, would you say that you'd have to find out more information from them? Either it's like, prior to the dreaming, what's going on in their life and what's sort of stressing them out, and add that into the mix of what the dream itself is revealing to formulate what it actually means to them specifically?
That does help. That does help if I get that information. I don't always get that information. For example, I write in the dream time for Bel Esprit magazine, or if I've worked on the psychic lines, there might not be enough time to get that. So it depends upon the situation. A lot of times, example, if we have a caller tonight, we don't want to spend 15 minutes listening, and I'm not being offensive, but,
right.
For time restraint, we can't listen to 15 minutes. So what I do, for example, at Bel Esprit magazine, is as I said, certain things might mean a couple things. So I will give the person who wrote in, the reader, a couple different interpretations. And, of course, because I have psychic abilities, my guides will give me information with that, what it could mean. And the person, honestly, is the best interpreter of their dreams. Do you understand?
Perfectly, yes, I get it.
Yes, yeah, okay.
So you actually act like a sort of a guide when you're interpreting. Yes,
that's it. And you know what? And you could say the same thing when you give messages too. You're a guide, okay? But yes, I'm definitely a guide. Although I can also point things out to people that they just could not get, and it's like I'll give them information, and a light bulb will go off in their head.
Okay.
Here's a good. Can I give you an example of one client's dream, because it's
sure.
I thought of this earlier because it was really interesting, and it's what made me think of the kitchen. She had a dream where she was in the kitchen with her boyfriend, and they were just going about, and they were talking, and her ring finger got like this burn mark on it, and that's all she remembered about it. And I said, well, and when I interpreted, well, you're in the kitchen. Obviously, that's, a homey place to be. It's family-oriented. It's, again, the nourishment that you receive. It's kind of like the heart of the home. However, because she had a burn mark around her, ring finger, where you would get married, I felt that he wasn't necessarily being honest in the relationship, or quite literally she was going to get burned in the relationship, and I just didn't feel that the relationship was going to work out, and which she totally disagreed with me until about 6-8 months later when they had broken up. So that's one thing where I guide them, but people can take it or leave it.
Right.
Well, Pamela, you're an energy healer and you're a hypnotherapist. So is hypnosis in any way similar to dreaming? Are we conscious in any way in both processes, both the dreaming and the hypnosis?
Okay, and hypnosis is different than dreaming, okay? Although I'm going to say it's an altered state of mind. The way I describe hypnosis is you're not asleep, but you're not fully awake. You're in between. Where usually in the dream, unless you're doing lucid dreaming, that's something different. But usually when you're dreaming, you are in a state of sleep. It's a different state of consciousness, if that makes sense. Okay? Although in hypnosis, I've actually been in such a deep hypnosis one time that I did go back into a dream that I had the night before, which was pretty wild. And both times when I woke up, I didn't remember it. So I'm going to say it's similar to the dream state.
Okay. Well, you know what? Right now we do have a caller on the line. So, Pamela, if you don't mind, can we take the caller and have them interpret their dream?
I will do the best that I can, of course.
Excellent. Okay, let's go to area code 989. Hi. You're on the air with Lucy. Hi, Noah.
How are you, Lucy and Anthony? Good to be here.
Thanks for calling,
Good to
Noah.
have you.
You're very welcome. I have been chomping at the bit because I am a person who is always trying to figure out what do these dreams mean. I have a plethora of very unusual ones, and last night in particular, I had one that it really bothered me, and it's kind of a recurring theme for me, and I'm hoping that your guest could possibly give me some sort of insight to that.
Sure. If you could describe the dream and also the feelings, because feelings are really important when it comes to dreams.
Absolutely. Well, in particular, last night I dreamt that I was in a vehicle being driven by somebody else, someone very close to me, and we were driving in reverse, but I had this suffocation. I kept feeling like I was suffocating, and I panicked. And I got to the point where I was trying to kick the door open on the vehicle, and I couldn't get it open. And I actually felt lightheaded. I woke up with that feeling. And it's actually very common for me to have these types of dreams. I would say, on average, in a month, I would dream of suffocating or drowning at least 5 or 7 times. Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, the vehicle represents you, your body, okay? Somebody else driving, all right? It's funny, I'm hearing the song Driver's Seat, all right, just kicked in. But somebody else driving means that you don't necessarily feel like you're in total control of your life, okay? Maybe there's outside, maybe it might be a job or outside circumstances where you would rather be more in charge of your life, okay? And the going backwards, all right, could obviously in reverse could mean that you feel like you're not moving forward, okay? And you know how the journey is 1 step forward, 2 steps back, okay? The other thing is you need to seriously take a look at the relationship that you're having with this person, okay? Because there might be something there that needs attention, okay? I don't know the situation. And the point of, like, kicking out and feeling like you're suffocating and you're drowning, okay, means that I want to say that you're not, I'm trying to say this very gently, okay, but you're not really comfortable where your life is today, okay?
You don't have to be done with me, please.
Okay. Well, that's just who I am, okay? I don't like to, but you're not comfortable where your life is. You want to make changes, and I am getting the song lyric, break out. You want to break out, okay? And you want to feel freer, because when you think about drowning and suffocation, you feel confined. Do you understand? I mean, and all you want to do is get out and breathe and live more, okay? And really start doing, I want to say, start living the life that you really want to. And also the drowning and the suffocation could also mean that you're afraid that if you really live your life the way you want to, okay, you're not going to be supported. It could literally kill you, okay? So.
Well, Pamela, do you think, because from what I was gathering when we were talking about recurring dreams, it's pretty much, your subconscious over and over telling you until you're getting it. It's that stupid person thing. Is it? And I'm sorry to intrude on this, Noah, but
not a problem.
No.
Is it that he's not getting that sort of light bulb going off in his head by him saying this, and or by him dreaming this all the time? Is there anything that he could do to sort of break that chain or break that cycle, other than doing whatever it is that he feels is being suffocated? But is there anything light that he could start off with, maybe a little baby step to sort of, I don't know, help him in a direction that could better him?
Right. It's funny because I got a song lyric. I heard, take a look in the mirror, okay? So what I'm going to say is this dream is basically, it's telling you need to look at where your life is today. That's what it's saying, and where you want to go, okay? And even like the suffocating, the drowning, that could be debt, okay, or with certain relationships, okay? So you really need to take a look at your life and then start heading in the direction of really where you want to go, okay? I want to say goals, okay? Goals is really important. Write down some goals and where do I want to go, and then you take the little baby steps. I want to share with you one of my recurring dreams that I had before I went into my own personal growth. I used to dream that I was in this room, and there were tons of, it was like dresser drawers, and there were drawers everywhere. And I would open it up, and there was all these jewels and golds and all this stuff, and I'd be shoving it in my pocket, down my bra, wherever I could, my purse, because I wanted to take all this good stuff with me. And it wasn't until years later that I got what the dream meant, because I stopped dreaming it, and all that gold and treasure that I wanted to hold on and keep was really me. It was getting back to who I was, and it was like the treasure within, okay? So, and I feel like I'm sharing that because I want to say that it's Noah, correct?
Yes.
Noah, I want to say that there's things within you that you really want to do, okay, and you're stifling it. So go for it. Go for it. Take the look. It's not going to happen, overnight. It's funny. I'm getting one of my songs that I call my symbol songs. I'm hearing, oop, there it is. A lot of times we think we can put something in the microwave, like our light beep, 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 and oops, there it is. And that's not the way life works. We need to take little baby steps. And it's funny, my guides are telling me I need to hear this for my own life where I'm at right now. But we need to take little baby steps to get where we are. So I'm going to say go for it. Okay?
Thank you so much, Pamela. You have no idea, without me over-disclosing my whole life, that is dead on. That's very encouraging.
Good.
And I really, really appreciate your kind words and your honest feedback on that.
Oh, not a problem. I'm glad I could help. Yeah, like I said, there's certain things that make your heart sing, and that's what dream interpretation does to me. So thank you for letting me interpret your dream.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Noah.
Bye, Noah.
What a sweetie.
Well, Pamela,
yes, he is.
He is. He's great. As we're talking about dreams, I tend to sort of go off on the deep end sometimes. Lucy will attest to that. But I sort of, I tend to sort of weed into the morbid a little bit. But I want to bring up nightmares. Are nightmares just dreams that we don't understand or fear, or are they truly meant to scare and shock us into some sort of subconscious meaning that we're meant to hear?
You asked the greatest question.
I'm crazy.
Yeah, no, and no, that's funny because really, I don't know, and it could probably be both because nightmares are shocking. Let's just put it that way. They're scary. Okay, so what I'm getting is nightmares are to wake us up a little bit and to help us face our fears and to conquer, whatever issues we have. And you know what? And maybe our angels and guides do use it to shock us. Okay? For instance, and this is what's coming to mind, all right? And it's not I can't even think of if it was any of my clients, but, a woman, let's say she is dreaming that her husband is murdering her, for instance. I mean, that would be pretty scary. You're laying in bed next to your husband and you're dreaming that he's killing you, all right? And that might be their guide saying, hey, you need to wake up. This man is literally, might not be physically killing you, but is really toxic to your health, and you need to either leave him or work on the marriage, okay? So that, in a sense, would be a scary thing but a good nightmare, if I'm making any sense. And I want to say that, for instance, and I obviously remember my dreams the best, so I go back to them, but I had a lot of dreams where it was like a group of people were trying to kill me and like people I loved, whether they were friends or families, and it would switch different scenes, and a lot of times we would just run and we'd be hiding and everything else. And as I became more empowered with who I was, I was able to fight back, and I don't get them as much. And I don't know, quite honestly, if that was something that happened in a past life or if that is a fear of mine. But in a sense, nightmares, I know they don't feel good, but they're there for a reason. They're there to help us look at stuff. And I'm sure even what Noah had just described, okay, that was probably, it was a recurring dream, but it was also a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, that would scare me. I do have a suggestion for people what to do when they do have a nightmare, if I could share it.
Absolutely.
Okay. When you have a nightmare, at least I know for me, when I have a nightmare, if I go back to sleep, I go right back into the nightmare. So get up, and think about the nightmare, and then go back in a meditative, as Lucy said before, like a hypnotic state, and go back into the dream and face the nightmare, okay? And here's a personal one of mine that I did one time. This was many years ago. My niece is now 25, and this was probably when she was about 3 or 4, and I was in a basement in a house, and basements to me are very creepy. I grew up in New Jersey in a big Victorian house, and the basement was always, it was old, it was creepy. So basements creep me out, even to this day. So we're in a basement, and I heard like this witchy laugh, okay? And I was like, come on, Cynthia, let's go. And she's like, no. And she started walking towards the whatever. It sounded like a witch, okay? And I was torn because I was terrified and I wanted to run, but I couldn't leave my niece. And that's where I woke up. So what I did is I went back into the dream, and I followed my niece, and I saw, and it was a witch, and she was trying to go for my niece, and I grabbed my niece, and I grabbed a bucket of water, and I threw it on her, and just like in The Wizard of Oz, she said, I'm melting, and, which is kind of funny, okay, but I never had that dream again, and I was able to go back to sleep. So it was like I kind of took maybe that witch represented, somebody in my life. At this moment, I can't think of who it was. And I was kind of taking my power back. So that's what you can do. You can use your imagination to help conquer the fear when you have a nightmare.
Well, getting back to recurring dreams, a little bit of what Noah had experienced and what we were talking about before, I had in my teenage years, I had for the longest time, it had to be about 10 years, almost my entire teenage years, constantly have this reoccurring dream, and it really didn't mean anything. There wasn't anything strenuous or stressful. There wasn't anything negative or even happy. It was almost as if, and if I can remember it correctly, it was, just walking through grass, and I remember seeing a house and woods on the side, and it was seeing faces, and it was just repeating the same images, the same house structure. Then it would cut to a point where I'd be in the house and looking up at these cathedral ceilings and looking at it. I could never understand what it was trying to tell me, because I always had known that dreams are meant to express what you're trying to either be or what you want or what you're longing for or what should be warning you about things, anything like that. I always believed in that manner. But this one always troubled me because it really never meant anything, and it never went anywhere. It never went further. I could never go, what were the scenes before this? I always tried to do that, and I could never get to those points to try and figure this out. It is, just from that little bit, and you don't have to interpret it, but do you go ahead, I'm sorry.
I do want to just go, first of all, these are the two things that I'm coming, because I cannot not give my opinion on that. I'm sorry. But first of all, it could be at the time in your life, it could have felt like, where was I going? I'm not really going anywhere. The other thing it could be, honestly, is scenes from a past life. I don't know if you believe in past life or not. And that's what I was going to ask you.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I had thought about that it may have been sort of memories of past life, and was that just trying to connect with it and get me to know that this was going on prior to my existence here right now.
Sure, why not? I definitely, I've had dreams of past lives. I've had clients tell me dreams of past life, so yes, definitely.
Okay.
Well, Pamela, I want to touch on more about your psychic abilities and especially intuition. Now, I'm a firm believer that everyone has intuition. It's just a matter of us paying more attention to it and recognize it. Do you believe that everyone has intuition?
Absolutely. I believe, I'm going to be even bold and say I believe that everybody has psychic abilities. They've just, turned it off. Yes, absolutely. I don't know how many people have said to me, "Oh, I knew they were lying to me. I just felt something was off. Something told me, that he was lying. Something told me he was cheating on me. Something told me that I shouldn't have gone out with them. Something told me that I shouldn't have married this person." Yes, we all have it. Absolutely. It's just whether or not you choose to use it is a good way of putting it. I believe that a lot of scientists, doctors, stockbrokers, the really logical people, they even use their intuition without realizing it's their intuition. So, absolutely.
You mentioned boundaries in your bio. So what is your definition of boundaries, and does it pertain to dreams and interpretation?
I would say yes. So my boundaries, boundaries are where limits that you put on things in order to keep you safe, heard, and feeling empowered, I guess you could say. So yes, there are boundaries in dreams. I mean, think about it. Have you ever fought somebody off in a dream? Have you ever told someone off in a dream? That's a good thing. A lot of times what's going on in your current life, for instance, your boss was really nasty to you. In that dream, you could just let that boss have it. So in a sense, yes, there are boundaries in the dreams. I also want to say there are boundaries of how far you will let a dream go, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that goes back to controlling your dream almost, basically.
Yeah, the kind of lucid. Or, sometimes, quite honestly, you don't even realize you're dreaming, but you take your power back in a dream. That's a good way of putting it.
Well, I believe we have another caller on the line hoping to have their dream interpreted. Are you up to interpreting another dream, Pamela?
Definitely. I'll do my best.
Okay. Let's go to area code 865. Hi, you're on the air with Anthony, Lucy, and Pamela. Who is this?
Hi, this is Susan.
Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan.
Hi. Hi, Pamela.
Hi. Do you have a dream or a question?
I do. I continuously have a reoccurring dream of me being a Native American maiden, female, in the old buckskin dress type, riding bareback on the horse, and my wolf friends are always around me and with me, and was just like we ride this trail every day, same place. We get back to the creek and the stream, and everybody gets in the water, plays and drinks and so forth. And we go back to our little cabin in the woods, and I have a garden, and I have an herb garden and flowers and so forth planted around, and I always feel very peaceful and at home. I feel safe. But there's every once in a while there'll be something out of the ordinary that'll happen. I wake up smelling like horse sweat. Okay, I know that sounds weird, but it has happened. Or leather from a saddle. If I'm using a saddle, I have woken up smelling like wet leather from a saddle. I don't know how to explain that, and there was a wild wild wolf. That didn't sound right, did it? There was a wolf that was not with the pack, and he jumped out of the bushes at my wolf friends and my horse. My horse reared up, and I fell off, and I fell on this rock on my left thigh. And I woke up sometime during the night thinking, oh, man, look, leg cramp. So I walked around, got some water, and the next morning when I took a shower, I had this massive black bruise on my leg.
Okay.
Supposedly, I could have been the same place where I fell in my dream. I won't swear to that. But that's happened a few times. Not very many, but, you know.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. No, for one thing, it feels very peaceful. It feels very loving, okay? Yes, it could be a past life, all right? And I'm going to be bold enough to say, because it could be you hanging out with your spirit guides, okay? It could be that. But I'm going to go as bold to say is there have been many theories that we live many lives at once. You could be like, that could be another lifetime that you're living at the same time as this lifetime. Yeah, I know that sounds pretty wild, but I'm just going to say it.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing too, all right, and here's another interpretation, and you interpret your own dreams, is that basically in your life you feel very comfortable, you feel very safe, you're packed, your family feels good, but once in a while there's somebody who makes you feel unsafe. Okay?
Yeah,
so those are different things. But again, and it could be, and quite honestly, it could be all of them for all I know. You know better than I do.
There's this little Native American elder that once in a while when things are really, really bothering me, or if I've been on investigations and it's just something is just not quite right in my mind, he and I will sit down around this little bitty campfire in the middle of nowhere, and we talk. Our mouths don't move, but I hear him in my head, and he tells me things kind of like in a riddle, but yet, and that's how we talk back and forth. We never speak verbally, and I feel so humbled and so at peace with him. I love being there with him, and in a couple of days, something will click and the light bulb will finally go off in my head, and I'll put together what he said with what's going on in my investigation, and it works.
Cool. That is definitely a guide. Obviously,
that's definitely
a guide. Oh, that's definitely a guide. That's definitely someone who loves you and is here, and who's here to help you. This happens in the dream time?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
because
I never know I never know it until the next morning, when I wake up.
Okay, because I feel that, I don't know what you do, but I feel you're very psychic, okay? And I want to say that I feel like there's communication that goes on in the daytime, and that will become more apparent, okay? And it's funny, I'm hearing this on We've Only Just Begun, so I feel that your gifts are going to open up more and more. Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That is one of the coolest dreams I've ever heard. Fabulous. No, it really. Wow.
I just thought I was weird.
No, I think that honestly, I think that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And again, those are 4 different things I think I said to you that it could be. So you know best. You know best. You'll figure it out. I'm going to say enjoy those dreams.
I do enjoy those dreams when I'm on the horse and my wolves are with me, and we go by the creek and we swim and we play and they drink. It's very relaxing. I feel at home, and I love it.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful.
And that's great, Susan, because you are actually one of the lucky ones to be able to actually have that communication with your spirit guide. I mean, to me, I think it's your spirit guide. I really do.
Definitely.
Awesome.
And you should treasure that. So that's great. Great. Thank you, Susan, for calling in tonight.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Pamela, thank you so much. I feel
Oh,
better.
thank you. Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you for sharing it. Again, what an incredible dream. So it was a pleasure hearing it.
Oh, thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, Susan. Thank you. Pamela, we have one last caller on the line. If we could take the call and
Sure.
do a brief interpretation.
Sure. Of course.
Okay. We've got area code 573. Hi, you're on the air with
Hi.
Anthony, Lucy, and Pamela. Who is this?
This is Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Hi.
Have a dream?
Yeah, I don't really dream a lot unless on the other side or I'm talking to people that passed. But my last dream was kind of wild because I dreamt I got a new pickup truck, and I've had this friend for 40 years. So I drive all the way out to the state that he's in, which is like a couple thousand miles away. And I go to the door, and I go to talk to him, and I figure out he's gay. I mean, I know that's far out and everything.
Okay,
But
and this is a real friend of yours?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you feel in the dream?
I felt like, why didn't he tell me all this time, Why did he have to hide it?
Okay. All right. And, I mean, to me, I can't say that he's gay, okay? But he's obviously not, it's your subconscious mind letting you know that he's obviously hiding something from you, okay? And it's something that he's afraid you may judge him about, okay? And honestly, I'm getting I don't think it's a really big deal, but it's like he's not who he says he is. That's what the dream is pointing out to you.
I was wondering because I was like, but it was wild because I had this brand new pickup truck and I've been wanting a brand new pickup truck.
Okay.
And it was right there. Yeah.
Well, what's cool about the brand new pickup truck, okay? That is and you were driving, obviously. That to me means that you are in control of your destiny, okay? Do you understand? And the new pickup truck, it's going to come, okay? It's going to come. But that you were driving it and it was a nice car means that, you're feeling pretty confident of who you are, and you just want this person to tell you the truth. Okay,
right.
But they're not going. But you can't force somebody to reveal something because it's. I want to say it's his shame, whatever the secret is. Because I'm intuitively I'm feeling you'd love him anyhow.
Yeah.
But it's his stuff. It's his stuff.
We're just friends, but I love him as a dear friend.
Yeah, no, and I didn't feel anything romantic, but that you don't have to be romantic with somebody to love them. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but it really is, it is your intuition, your subconscious saying something's off. He's hiding something from me, so he is. Okay. And what my guides are saying is you can hint around, but honestly, I feel like you need to allow him to reveal it to you.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, and I can't,
So you do see good things coming my way then?
I do. And what's really cool is, again, you were in control and you just controlled your destiny there.
Huh.
So that's a good thing.
I've been wanting this brand new pickup truck, and it's been on my mind for a good year. But I was actually driving, Okay, now when I go to the other side and I talk to people that's passed away, that happens to me too.
It's funny because what my guide said was just enjoy it because there are many people who would kill to be in your place.
Really?
Do you understand? Oh, yeah. Well, and the reason that it's much easier for us to connect with our loved ones who have crossed over in the dream time because, as I said earlier in this show, our physical vibration, our energy is kind of low. So it's harder for people who've crossed over. Their energy is so much higher. they're there. It's kind of like right now there's a radio station playing in Japan. We can't hear it, okay? But that doesn't mean it's not there, all right? And that's what it is with our loved ones who've crossed over. So when we're in the dream time, our vibration is much higher because we're connecting back to, I want to say, our God self, okay? And it's much easier for them to connect to us in that time, all right?
What about when I see them? When I see them and I'm not dreaming in real life, like I'll be walking. Huh?
That just means you're a medium, my dear.
Oh, because I'll be walking and then all of a sudden I'll see somebody and then they'll vanish, and I'm like, what the heck? And it's weird because it'll just come out of nowhere, and then when I'll talk to people, they'll be like, oh yeah, they lived here. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It means that you're mediumship. You have mediumship, and obviously you need to do something with it. It's a gift.
Yeah. Well, I've had it all my life. I've lived in houses. I swear to God, this is true. The last house I lived in, I don't think there was a good spirit in it because it would throw things across the room. And I'd be like, oh, my God. And people would literally they wouldn't believe it, and they would run out of that house. You know what I mean? So I had to go around and I had to get holy water, and I had to spray that house down with holy water and carry a Bible, It was wild.
Yeah, and my guides are, and again, I don't know what you do with your life, but my guides are saying loud and clear, you need to like cultivate this gift, share this gift, and start doing this gift.
Huh.
Yeah,
that
and
sounds
again,
like excellent advice.
Yeah, and again, I'm hearing like in the dream time when you have those, enjoy it. I love when I connect with people on the other side. I used to connect with Midnight, my cat.
Wow, I miss my cat.
Yeah.
And I miss my dog.
Yeah.
Linda, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Pamela, I'm going to go to one of my odd and strange questions again.
Okay. That's all right.
Do you know, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but do you know if blind people actually dream and have visions, even people who are blind and have never had sight even since birth, are they able to actually have visual dreams?
Quite honestly, I don't know because I don't know many blind people, but that's an excellent question. I'm like, I gotta Google that.
I've always wondered it, because I think I've seen a documentary not too long ago about this very subject, and the idea of, and I can't remember for the life of me now what the outcome of it was, but they were talking about what do they actually see if they are blind, and they were talking mostly about light. They see, and I don't know if it's just the fragments that are coming in from the outside world that they're seeing, but they did mention that when they dreamt, they would continually see lights and formations and shapes. They couldn't really explain it all too well because obviously they haven't, been around to be able to see anything to compare it to. But I always just wondered if they actually have these visual dreams because we are going to this higher frequency, this higher realm, then it should be almost like you and I dreaming.
Right, and and quite honestly, I don't see why not. And you could even go for people who are deaf, not
right.
deaf. They might hear in dreams, but quite honestly, I don't know. But I'm like, I really need to find that out. I don't know. And you could also, somebody who's bilingual, I often ask people, what are they thinking? They probably, when they dream, they might dream in Spanish, they might dream in English. I think it's whatever the person is comfortable with. But, yeah, I don't see why not, why they couldn't see, and they just might not remember it.
Right.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I wish I could answer it.
Well, Pamela, there's tons of books and there's websites out there that they describe situations and classic dream definitions that can help people interpret their own dreams. What's the difference by going to someone like you instead of buying a book in the store?
Well, I'm going to give you an example with horoscopes. You can go and read your horoscope in the newspaper or online, all right, and it's very general. Or you can go and have someone pay someone professionally to do your horoscope, and it's going to go into much more detail because they're going to tell you about the different planets and, the time and date that you're born. It all alters everything. So that is what the difference. The other thing is when it comes to symbolism, especially dream symbolisms, they can be too general.
Right.
And again, everybody has their own thing. And the other thing too is I like to use this example. I always use this example. You can give yourself a foot massage and it's going to feel good, but your hands and your neck and shoulder are going to get cramped up. But when somebody else gives you a foot massage, it's so much better.
That's a great metaphor.
Because I love getting foot massages. So, yeah. But that's the difference. And also, obviously, there's insights that I'm going to get because most people who are new at this, again, I can give, they might read one interpretation in the book and they're like, I don't know, that doesn't really feel right, where I'm going to get a couple different ones, and I'm also going to get psychic information too. So that would be the difference.
Getting the whole package all together in one.
Exactly, which is pretty cool.
The focus of your work seems to be on love and empowerment. And while we know that love is such a powerful force and it can change things in the waking hours of our lives, how does love come to play in our dreams?
Well, that is a really good question, okay? And love definitely comes into our dreams all the time. We dream about loved ones constantly. I know I do. I can tell you clients who they'll say, I dreamt of an old boyfriend of mine. Why am I dreaming of him? And I'm like, because there's probably an issue that was represented in your relationship that might be playing in your current relationship. And I'm sorry, my mind just went blank, but it definitely plays such an important part if you're having problems with a loved one. Another thing, too, when it comes to loved ones, a lot of people will know. I knew before my mom was going to pass away. She came to me in a dream. So, this was really incredible. She came to me about a week before she passed away, and there were no words said. All there was this intense feeling of love, and a feeling of love that I've never experienced in my dream state or my waking state ever since. It was incredible. Words can't even describe it. So that is one way that love can come, and also a way of knowing that they crossed over. Or as our last caller who just called in, she talks to a lot of people who've crossed over, and that shows you how love affects us in our dreams, and love never dies.
Well, Pamela, going back to what we were talking about before, about what happens within our dreams and what's actually taking place, and connecting with the higher frequency and the higher spirits. I don't know if you're familiar with the name David Icke, Icke. He's a big conspiracy theorist, and for some reason, I don't know, Lucy and I are on this big conspiracy theory trip lately, talking about Malaysia Flight 370 and all this other stuff. We've been doing a couple of shows on it. So I guess it was prominent on my mind. And as I was doing research for the show, I came across one of the blogs that David Icke had done in 2009. And he talked about...
And I don't know who he is. but go ahead.
and he talked about, I mean, it doesn't matter if you know him or not, but he talked about dreams in the afterlife and what he called the fourth dimension. And he believes that as we dream, our spirit actually leaves our body. And does so just the same way as when we pass on, our spirit is leaving the body, our soul is leaving the body, and creating this new, I guess, reality. And what he says is there's similarity between the afterlife and dreams. And each night when we go to bed and we go to sleep and we are in that, REM stage, that phase, our spirit is actually leaving our body and living a reality, and what we are interpreting it as a dream is actually reality on a different dimension. I know we touched on it a little bit, but this is going a little bit further into that topic area. Do you actually think, or do you feel that we're actually physically leaving our bodies, or is it just a subconscious connection that we're having? Physically, we're not doing anything. That is left for when, for the afterlife, when we do leave here. Right. Do you think it's just subconscious interactions and communications, or is it the actual physical spirit or the soul leaving and forming this other reality that we call a dream?
Okay, well, first of all, when you were talking, my guide said food and water. So this is my personal belief. Obviously, I can't prove it. But I do feel there are times, yes, we do leave our bodies and we go into this different reality and we create them. Other times it is when we dream, it is in our subconscious. And the example I'm going to use is I call them environmental dreams. And environmental dreams are things that trigger a dream like outside of the house, or if you're thirsty, or if you have to go to the bathroom. For instance, I worked at Burger King many years ago. That was my first job. And sometimes if I'm really thirsty, I'll dream about being at Burger King, going to the soda fountain and filling up my cup and drinking and drinking and drinking. Or if, I have to go to the bathroom, I can't find a bathroom. So those I would feel are more on your subconscious. You obviously haven't left your body. So to answer the question, I believe that it's both. At times you do need to leave your body. And again, my guides are saying food and water. It's like food and water for your spirit, okay? You need to connect to that other realm, fourth dimension, fifth, sixth, who knows what dimension.
Right.
And other dreams, you are in your body. So, yeah. You've heard of the silver cord, of course. So obviously we're just still connected to our body through the silver cord, and we just come back, just like people can do with lucid dreaming or in meditation. They can leave their body.
So. Is it the same also, too, like in astral projecting as well?
Probably. I don't really astral project. Honestly, I'm not comfortable doing it. A couple times I have done it. It's just not my thing.
Okay.
So I'm not an expert on that.
Okay.
I love this topic. We were just talking, Lucy and I were just talking about this. We've been on the air for about 3 years now, and not one of our shows has been about dreams. We have not done a dream show, so you are the first, Pamela. Thank you.
Wow.
But I've always just been fascinated about dreams, and there's not been a lot of studies on it. And like I said in the introduction, philosophers and scientists alike still cannot explain why we dream. It scientifically cannot be proven or disproven. Any of the facts or so-called facts cannot be presented in a way where they can label it as quote-unquote evidence for either case. And so it's just that alone fascinates me, that there's something out there that nobody can really explain. And so all theories, just like what you were talking about tonight, all theories, including what some of the skeptics say and some scientists say, all of those theories I think are really great. They just add to the pot and make everybody start thinking and trying to connect with it in their own way. And I love the way that what you bring to it, Pamela, that you bring it that everyone has that ability and everyone can interpret their dreams. You are there to help guide them in that direction and give them that guidance, give them that feedback and that communication more so than what a textbook can do or a book that you get at Barnes and Nobles. You actually help them work through it, but ultimately it's that end user, it's that person on the other end that's actually getting the answers for themselves, and without the guidance from you, I think people will just keep questioning. So I think what you do is great, and I'm really happy we did this show, and I'd love to do this again, and maybe have Pamela back on again. It's so great to talk about a topic that really nobody really can explain, and it's just. And I can talk forever on this. I'm sorry, Pamela.
No, that's okay. I just, what came to mind was Stonehenge or the pyramids. I mean, there's so many theories on it, but there isn't. Right. You know when we're going to know the answer, quite honestly, is when we cross over to the other side.
Yeah, we say that all the time.
I recently had this woman who had a near-death experience, and she was very interesting, Diane Grobel, and when she went to the other side, and she remembers all the information, she didn't share a lot of it, but when she went over to the other side, she instantly knew everything. All her questions were answered. She just knew. It was like she just was like a walking encyclopedia, I guess. She knew all the answers when she went over, and she came back to the planet Earth because obviously she had work to do. So that's when we're going to know. I can only talk about dreams from my experience with them, but I believe that we really need to dream. I think it's important, and it's fascinating. It's a fascinating topic.
It's sort of like it's sort of like the other side, hinting at here's what's to come. Here's what you're in for later. It's that enticement with dreams and with visions, and it's a taste of things, and I feel as though that the other side they love to do that because they want to give the information, but obviously our earthly bodies, our brains, this material that we call our body, and the mind that we have here in this dimension, in this world, cannot fathom what that means. We, as much studying and as much whatever that we do, I fully think that we will never have that answer. We cannot physically. It's not meant for us to have that at this point, and that we will only find that answer once we cross over ourselves. So, but it's fascinating to keep that investigation, to go on that journey, and to talk about this. I think it's just fascinating to try and learn all these things. I don't know. Maybe it's for folks who they're just too anxious, like I am. I always like to try and find out answers before it happens. I want to know something before it happens. I hate surprises. So
that's everybody. That's everybody. So.
It is.
He really does hate surprises.
But I think that's what attracts people to to the paranormal or to things of the like of paranormal. They want to try and find out what has not been able to be defined yet, or what we probably will never be given the answer to until we cross over. But it just attracts us to learn more about and to experience as well, to feel it and to go through it. I think is a wonderful thing, and talking with folks like you just makes it all the more better.
Right, and it's I think it's just part of the process of going through the human journey is to discover.
Right.
And to learn and everything else, and everybody has their own gifts and what they're good at and their own interest and stuff, because when you were a kid you thought you could know everything, and as you got older you realized how little you know.
Right.
You know what? I truly believe everything happens for a reason, and I believe one of the reasons why we haven't touched this topic was that we needed to find the right person. And honestly, Pamela, you know what? I have to tell you, your voice is just so calming, and your demeanor is just so. It helps you. It's just like give this wonderful feeling as you speak, as you talk. So we want to thank you so much for coming on the show. I mean, this has been like an awakening, literally. But I do have one more question that I've been dying to ask. Sure. Being psychic, do you have regular dreams, or do your psychic abilities have an effect on them?
Wow, what a question. And I'm sure that especially with dream interpretation, it definitely helps. And I love when I have dreams because I love the tarot. Right? And I'm using, in my dreams, I'll have dreams about these beautiful tarot decks that you couldn't possibly have in the physical life. So I guess yes, but the other part is I don't know what it's like to dream without being a psychic, because I do have psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a hard question to answer. Do you understand what I mean?
Your quote unquote normal is sort of like our extraordinary, you know?
Right. But then again, it would be me trying to. I've had people trying to explain the stock market to me. Okay, I can't get it. It's like it goes. Though they could talk and try and train me for weeks, it just goes right over my head. But this stuff I get. So I would definitely say probably my abilities do. I'm going to say they do help my dreams.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Pamela Cummins. Please check out her website, which is PamelaCummins.com, to get a love and relationship reading. And if you want to get your own dream interpretation, fabulous interview with a fabulous woman. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Oh, thank you. And I'm on the East Coast. I'm ready to drop Anthony. I don't know how you can do it.
Thank you so much, Pamela. Like I said, it's been a wonderful experience tonight talking with you, and we appreciate you, giving dream interpretations to our listeners and the callers that called in. Noah, Susan, and Lyndon, I'm sure they appreciated your support and your feedback. So thank you, and hopefully we can have you on the show again soon.
Okay, great. All right, have a good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Pamela. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
So did our talk tonight have any change in your thinking towards dreams, or did you already know most of the things that we touched on tonight?
It confirms a lot. It confirms a lot of what I've always believed. I do believe that our dreams are messages. I do believe that we don't listen sometimes. I think I agree with her 100%, and it's something I've always said. We all have this ability. We all have psychic ability. I believe that. And I think by looking into our dreams, we can get the answers, but we don't always listen. It's just like everything else. Like Pamela said, I mean, when we're young, we believe we know everything. Some of us never learn that we need to listen, and I think that's the main message. But I really wish I could remember my dreams. I don't remember most of them, but that's because there's like 5,000 voices going in my head all the time. And the question and I really did want to ask her that question about the psychic ability, because I usually, when I hear someone else's dream, I can picture or I can pick out what's going on or what's behind it. But for myself, I don't remember my dreams. I really don't. It's very few and far between that I have remembered a dream. And the one dream that I do remember was when my parents came to me right after they died. That was the most vivid dream I've ever had. And to this day, that's probably the biggest one I remember. Other than that, I don't remember them. I honestly can say I don't think I've ever had a nightmare. Maybe if I have, I don't remember it.
You've never had a nightmare?
No.
Not even as a child?
No. I don't remember ever having a nightmare. I've never woken up out of sleep with any anxiety or anything. Never.
Not even after watching a horror movie or anything like that?
No. To me, waking life is more scarier than my dreams.
I've never talked to anyone that's never had a nightmare.
I know, you don't believe me.
Not that I don't believe you. I don't believe that you haven't had one. I think maybe it could be one of the reasons is because you don't really remember them. But usually with a traumatic experience during a dream, like a nightmare, that you would remember it or wake up in the middle of it. I'm surprised you haven't had that experience.
I do remember seeing distressing things where I'm like an observer, where I can see, where I could see like maybe a car crash or something like that. But it was almost like being unattached to it. It was just like watching something, not necessarily being involved in it. That I do remember. But to the point where it scared me, no, I never have. I really haven't. Now watch, I'm going to go to sleep tonight and have a nightmare.
Not even of like, the notorious ones of, of people falling or, getting into a fight or being shot or stabbed or anything like that.
No, that's true life for me. No, honestly, I wish I could have that falling dream. I love roller coasters. I love stuff like that. I love the big drop. I would love to feel that feeling, but I've never had it.
You should have brought that up to Pamela.
Yeah, well, when she comes back, we're going to talk about this. Because,
okay.
Honestly, I would love to experience this, and not to say that I want to have a nightmare, but I would like to have that experience. I hear people talk about their nightmares, and I can understand that. Being empathic, I can feel their fear, but for some reason, for myself, I really don't. And I don't know if it's because my whole real life has been scary. There's been some crap that I've gone through in my life that would scare the crap out of somebody else, But for me, I don't know, maybe because real life has been so weird that my dreams it's almost like maybe my dreams are my escape, where everything is nice and everything is calm and everything is wonderful. That's my one way of getting away from everything. I don't know. But it's definitely something, next time Pamela comes back, we've got to talk about this.
It's just, I'm speechless. I've never talked to anyone that has never had a nightmare, or not even a nightmare, but just, you have one of those, maybe it's a nightmare, you just don't remember the entire dream of it, but or the entire scene, but, you obviously remember falling down, getting hit, shot, stabbed, whatever it is that's going on that's creating that nightmare for you, because you've just woken up and you're out of breath and you're sweating profusely.
I've never done that.
Never. I'm shocked. I've had them all my life. Maybe that's why I'm so morbid myself. But I've had them, and I wish I didn't. That's how frightening some of them were. And the heart palpitations that I had after waking up, and as Susan was talking about, falling off the horse and hitting the rock, and waking up and then having that bruise. Similar situation has happened to me a couple of times, and so it's just I don't know. I've never heard anybody never gone through that experience. I don't know.
Now I can say that I do remember, some dreams where I can feel and I can see and I know I've been somewhere. But I honestly swear to God, I can honestly say I've never woke up in a cold sweat. I've never woke up scared.
Okay, I believe you. I believe you. I mean, I'm not denying you that feeling. I just it's just odd, strange and odd to me. And the whole reason, the reason why we wanted to do the show, Lucy and I, was to, bring up the discussion. It is paranormal review, so we wanted to review what dreams are and what dreams mean. Not so much go into depth at this point because this is sort of like the first show of the series that we're going to do. But just to touch on the subject of dreams is almost like the question whether or not, spirits and ghosts exist. Do dreams actually happen? Are they actually happening? And if they are happening, what's actually going on? Is it our mind recreating thoughts that we sort of experience during the day? Because I can tell you many, many stories where, and I do this till this day now, sometimes I'll sleep with either the TV on or the radio on. And for many, many years, I listened to Howard Stern constantly. And so, I'd have these weird, strange, crazy dreams, and I would find out later that it was, parts of, the show as it was replaying during the night. So, are dreams just our subconscious mind creating visuals from outside disturbances or outside experiences that are currently going on, and then sort of mixing and mashing it and creating this sort of, 30-minute or 1-hour sitcom of experiences that you've had during the day and thoughts that you've had? Because, again, that's happened to me as well. But then there are other dreams where I know for a fact, like what I was just talking about before, when I had those reoccurring dreams for almost 10 years, that to me really didn't mean anything. I don't know that location. I don't know anything about that house or whatever that place is. But I kept seeing this over and over and over and over again. And so, what is that? What's the interpretation of that? And how do I make that into a realistic, or how do I get a realistic answer as to what that means? And then there are others who dream of, as Linda was talking about, and meeting their passed on loved ones and all of that. So this topic is so hugely vast that obviously we cannot tackle it within the 2 hours show that we have. But we always love to do these types of shows because it sparks an interest. And I think we sparked a little bit of an interest in Pamela about talking about blind people and whether or not they dream. Maybe that'll have Pamela going out and sort of Googling that and looking that up. I'm certainly going to do that and do more research. But I think that in itself is a great topic to talk about, because how does that happen? What goes on beyond that? I'm sure there's a scientific reason for it, but who knows? Maybe there is a spiritual reason. Maybe there is, a higher realm reason to that, and possibly finding an answer for what I was just talking about before. It just is amazing, the idea of dreams and what they are. And I've always felt that dreams were meant to tell us something, that it's our mind formulating things that have gone on either within the day or within the past weeks or months or years or whatever that we have physically experienced, that our mind is either trying to bring back up again to try and I'm trying to figure out the right word, to try and fix or try and relieve, because we probably have underlying thoughts about it that we've never really expressed and gone through.
Sense.
Or to make sense and move on from, which could be something that when Noah was on was talking about his dreams, and it's sort of bringing that back up to him to keep thinking about, that he may be pushing aside subconsciously and not going through it and not dealing with it. Either it's the fear of that, or it's the actual physical breaking through of whatever is holding him back or whatever's holding him down. So as Pamela was talking about, we are the interpreter of our own dreams because we know what's going on. Obviously, she can't really tell you exactly because there are several different symbols, and they could all mean something to everyone, but not everybody's going to have the same symbolic meaning to their dreams. So I don't know. Again, I can ramble on for years on this thing, but it just fascinates me, the whole topic and the whole subject.
Well, one thing that we didn't even really touch on was, can the dreams predict the future? That's another part that really fascinates me. I want to know, or I want to dive in a little bit deeper about the dreams, precognitive dreams, people that have dreams and then all of a sudden something happens. I mean, these messages that we're getting, there's no way that it could come from within, but then again, people are getting messages of things to come. To me, that's the fascinating part.
And you're touching on psychic abilities. So is it the dream that's coming through? Is that the vision from the other side, giving that person to forewarn of things either within their own life or for other people around them or for people that may be coming to them in the very near future for guidance and answers? Is it that, or is it, you getting that vision and then fulfilling it after you've woken up? Subconsciously, your mind has now been sort of programmed to do that act, to do that whatever that is, to follow through with it, and you actually do it. And then it happens, and then you say, oh, wait a minute, I had a dream about that just, last week, and now I'm actually doing that, whatever that is. Could it be that? I hate to be repetitive, but, it just conjures up so many other questions to hopefully get to some sort of understanding of what this whole topic of dreams is all about.
Well, and that's part, when she answered about the psychic ability, that really does interest me, only because I look at it this way. I get so many things that come to me while I'm awake. Okay, I would like to know, is that a block from me dreaming? Does this happen to other people? I mean, is there, because you are so in tune when you're awake, does that stop you from actually dreaming? So the only way that I can logically look at it is like, okay, because I get so much that comes to me when I'm awake, I really do feel like my dreams are like my rest time, my escape, my time where my mind can totally just shut down and calm down. Because from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to sleep, it's just there's so much going on inside. And I don't know if that's insanity. I don't know if that's psychic ability. I don't know what it is. But it's a question. It's something that I really would like to explore further. And I think Pamela, like I said, her voice, her demeanor, everything is just so great when it comes to talking about these dreams. I just think she's got that calming sense that really helps a person open up.
What did you think about the question that I was asking Pamela about David Icke and about the idea of what his blog was about in 2009, talking about when we dream, we're physically, actually, our spirits and our souls are actually leaving our bodies and going to another dimension and living in reality. And then, as Pamela was talking about, coming back on that silver cord, excuse me, coming back on that silver cord, coming back to our bodies, into this reality. It's sort of like, going on a vacation to, your summer home that you're going to be going to at the end of your life. And this is sort of like visiting it every summer or, every nice season you go to this place. Do you believe in that theory?
Mhm. And that stems from all the shows that we've done on astral projection. I do believe that we can do it, and I think dream time is the time that we can leave our bodies. I tend to agree with David Icke. I think there's some merit to his theory. It's one of the things, ever since we did the first show on astral projection, I still try to this day to at least experience that. That's something, I don't know, maybe that's why I don't remember the dreams, because I'm so focused on the astral projection part of it. I do believe that we can leave our bodies And I do believe in the silver cord. I believe that that's that safety net that's just naturally built into us to bring us back. Because, okay, here's what my definition of a nightmare would be. To actually do the astral projection and lose hold of that silver cord, not to be able to come back. That, to me, would be a true nightmare.
Well, when we talked to, and forgive me because I forgot the guest that we had on that day talking about astral projecting, or maybe it was lucid dreaming. I'm not sure.
Rian Ruin.
Diron.
Yeah.
Ryan Diron. I think what was explained in that show was that when we do astral project, we're able to travel to any of the dimensions that are out there in the universe, and some of them are not great dimensions. They're lower dimensionals, and so you're going to find lower dimensional beings that are not so heavenly or not so angelic, and that could be where we're getting these nightmares from, that we're traveling and we're shooting to a spot and we sort of take a wrong turn and we're going to these lower dimensions and having these quote-unquote realities, living these realities in that dimension for that period of time. And, things are not going right. Things are not going great. Things are bad. And we label them as nightmares. And then other days we travel out of our body when we dream and go to another dimension, and we hit the one that we should be at, where it's all nice and peaceful and calm and, lovey-dovey and roses and unicorns and whatever. And so that whole aspect, I understand that could be the possibilities. And I don't know, again, if it is, I can't say that I'm 100% on board with David Icke on this. But he did bring up some points in the blog, and he did confirm some of the things that I have learned during the course of these shows from other guests that are similar to it and could be a possibility. But I'm not sure, and that's why I wanted to ask Pamela what her thoughts on it, because she's dealt with dreams and interpreting them for so many years that she may have some guidance to it, and I think she did.
Well, I mean, as paranormal investigators, okay, in our waking hours, we do come in contact with lower dimensional beings, okay? Those are usually what you could define as the nastier ones, okay? So if we can do this while we're awake, what is to stop us from doing it when we're asleep? I don't believe that the mind totally goes to sleep when our bodies do. I still think that the shop is open. I mean, sure, we go into REM sleep and it's the deep sleep, and I don't know if it's my insomnia that keeps me from hitting REM sleep so much. Maybe that's why I don't remember my dreams. Maybe that's why I don't have nightmares. But I truly believe that it just seems logical to me that when we sleep, we do hit these other dimensions. Whether we remember them or not is what ends up being our dreams.
Or then the question is, are we supposed to remember them? Maybe we're not supposed to.
Yeah.
Again, we may be visiting a place that we should not be remembering and foretelling and letting everyone here on Earth know about. Maybe that's a possibility. I don't know. There's just so many things, and we can go off, and people can call it conspiracy theories and wacko scenarios and whatever. I could care less because I hate labels. But it really does conjure up the sense of wanting to know more, and that's what I love about the paranormal and about everything within the paranormal. It's that match that is burning under my ass right now, that is just driving me to hit all of these different areas within the paranormal and keep an open mind about it. I think it's so selfish and so, I don't know, lack of a better word, so negative to always go into areas whatever within the paranormal, any of the areas within the paranormal, with I know the answer to that, or I don't believe it, whatever. I can understand you not believing it, but I think you feel, and I feel that you should still keep, an open mind about things, still question about it, but don't close the door at that point. Continue that research. Find out why you think you know that answer, or why you think you don't believe it. Prove to yourself, or try to prove to yourself by doing that research, why it's not making sense to you. And most of the times, and I've done that with many, many different things, even before the radio show, I've done that so many times. And I've said this before, I almost act like, the defense lawyer and the prosecutor or whatever. I'm the two lawyers in the court all in one, and I fight myself constantly. And I think that's a good attribute to have, because it's able to keep me on track and not go off on the deep end by being on one side, because the other side pulls me back in to what people call reality, quote unquote reality. But it keeps me in line so that I'm able to keep that open mind, and it focuses me to help find whatever answers that I'm able to find, or what's allowable for someone, of a humanoid, of someone of this earthly realm to gather, whatever that answer is, to gather. It's able to keep me in that path. And so I appreciate that. I love that aspect, even though it drives me up a wall many, many times. I think it really does help keep it in balance for myself to be able to search and go forward and move it. And I don't know why I'm stressing so much about this topic tonight, dreams. I really don't know why. And I'm so hyper right now that I could probably climb the walls. But I think there's something to dreams. I really do think that there's something to dreams that can tie a lot of the other paranormal topics together. And we always have talked about that whole web, that there's this thin, invisible line that is stretched across all of the paranormal topics: UFOs, Bigfoots, ghosts, spirits, dreams, astral projecting, any of that stuff, all of that together. There is this fine, invisible line that's tying it all together. And it's almost like I can taste it at the tip of my tongue right now, but my eyes are not open, so I cannot describe it. And that's the feeling that I have right now. And that's what I hope to project to our listeners, to encourage them, because I know I'm not going to have all the answers, but as much information as we can get out there, the feedback that we can get from our listeners, or the interaction, or if we, inspire someone else to start to do a book or do something else or whatever it is, that can progress the movement of finding an answer, then I can go to sleep and dream at night.
Well, one thing I really, really love that she mentioned tarot and symbolism. And to me, in my mind right now, I see dreams as another tool. Dreams are another tool, just like the tarot is, to trigger something within you, whether it's that connection with a guide, whether it's a connection with things in your own life. Your dreams are part of your tools. And one of the things that you have to do is keep that open mind. You have to look at it, and you have to analyze it, and you have to just explore everything that's being presented to you. Your reoccurring dream, that was your past life, kind of like just saying, hi, this is where you've been. You didn't realize it at the time, but I think if you went through it, maybe something would trigger, something would click. You're not going to get that in your waking life. Some people are lucky enough to do that. They can tune into things. But for most of us, I think the dreams are another tool. They're a gift. They're there for us to make that connection with something. Now, what we're connecting with, who knows? There's so many questions that come forth. But again, everything is connected. Like Sharon said in the chat room, everything is connected. So I do think that our dreams are just another connection. And we owe it to ourselves to really look at them and to listen to them.
Well, Susan said it, in her phone call tonight to Pamela that, she, and I truly believe it, she is, interacting and communicating with her spirit guide, and it is coming in the form of her dream, and that's how that relationship was created. For some people, they can have that relationship in the light of day when you're awake. Others, it can only come through in dreams because that's when you're more receptive to that communication. I'm kind of jealous of Susan for actually having that because, as Pamela was saying, people die to Linda. She was saying this to Linda, but people die to have that experience. People would kill to have that. And as Susan was saying that she'd have that vision and that dream, prior to going out on an investigation, it's almost like, talking to the coach before you go out into the game. It's getting that pep talk. It's getting, that sort of inside guidance, which we all call for or all want. But some of us are not lucky enough to have that, and Susan's one of them. So, all the power to you. May the force be with you. Whatever. I think it's a great thing to have and to embrace it, as Pamela was talking about, and learn from it. Have that open mind. I've always tried to contact my spirit guides. It's never happened. I've never been able to, unless I'm not open to that, or maybe I'm not remembering it. I don't know. But
or it's not time yet.
Well, yeah, maybe it's not time yet. Who knows? But I know there are a lot of people out there who do the same thing. They'll get the tapes or the CDs and try and meditate into that level, into that realm, to try and have that interaction, and it doesn't happen for a lot of people. So for those that do have it, treasure it, as Pamela was saying, treasure it as a jewel, and embrace it and understand it, and just be with it. Don't force anything.
One thing that another thing that's popped in my head right now, like you were saying, like you would sleep with the radio on, you'd hear Howard Stern. Okay, so now in my head, I almost kind of want to experiment with what I can, because I don't have anything going when I go to sleep. So what things can I play that maybe can make me dream about something, or will a certain sound guide my dreams towards something? I mean, it's kind of something I kind of want to experiment myself now. Is it a form of dream control? Can we control our dreams by the sounds that we listen to? These little dream boxes, the little radios that have like the waves going in that. I've never used one. Maybe trying something like that. Will it affect the dreams that I have?
Well, there's I don't want to go into so much detail, but I know that there's 3 stages to sleep, and the third stage is, I think it's called REM, if I'm correct. I know there's a REM stage, but I'm not sure if it's that third one, where you are actually in the dream state. And I've heard this just recently too. In order to get a good night's sleep, there's actual timing to these stages, and the first 90 minutes is the first stage. That if after 90 minutes you wake up, you will still be refreshed. Within that 90 minutes, you'll still be refreshed. Just like if you have a power nap for 20 minutes and you wake up, you feel like you've just slept for hours. That can easily happen within that first stage. The second stage, it's a little bit harder if you were to wake up, which is another 90 minutes. So 3 hours from the time that you go to sleep to the time that you hit the end of the second stage and starting to hit REM. Once you hit REM and wake up, that is when if you've ever woken up where you still feel tired, like you've never even had a good night's sleep at all, but you slept probably maybe 6-7 hours or whatever, at that point, that's when you should have this recording. And I don't know if you're able to program anything that way, but that's the point where you're actually in that meditative dream state that may I don't know, can contribute to this experiment if you wanted to. Maybe have something that's 4 or 5 hours long, and so that you can play it right when you go to sleep, so that it is extended into the point of when you're getting into that REM stage. So that may be something that you can test with and see, because you may not be able to dream anything because of the first 2 stages. You're not in that state yet.
One other part, see, here we go, more questions come up. One other thing I wanted to ask about, and I totally forgot, was daydreaming. What's the difference between daydreaming and dreaming at night? I mean, is daydreaming just where we just drift off and we're awake, we're aware, but is that truly a form of dreaming, or is it just your mind just going off on its own?
I think that's your ADD acting up. I don't know. It could be. I mean, I mean, we've got about 9 minutes left, but this topic, again, we can talk for hours on it. I just feel that something about dreams has a bigger connection than what we realize, and I think I truly do believe that it is beneficial to all of us to have dreams. As you know, as I mentioned in the intro, there's some psychics and skeptics out there that say that there's nothing to dreams at all, that really there's no beneficial attribute to it at all. And others say that there's absolutely a benefit to it, where it helps mental and physical, I believe in spiritual well-being. So if that is the case, then there's obviously something more to dreaming than what we've known to be reality from when we were kids and growing up. You know, there's something more to dreams than what we think, and I think it's something to look forward to research more into. And I think we're going to hit this topic on a couple of different angles now. I think I've gotten a sense of where we're at after tonight's show, and I think I can hit on many different areas, some of which were talked about in chat, that we can bring up and have a show about. I think it's a great topic to discuss further.
Everything happens for a reason. There's a reason why we're hitting this topic at this time, and I think there's something to it, and I know we have to explore it further. One of my goals, and I hate to say it this way, but I kind of want to experience the nightmare, because I don't honestly remember having one. So that's something that truly interests me, because I don't feel like I've experienced it.
Just go watch our promo from YouTube that we did for this week's show.
Yeah, my head still hurts.
Yeah. All right, why don't we get on to the fan of the week?
Okay. Our Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week this week is Susan Chapman of Lafayette, Louisiana. Susan likes Peter Frampton, Bag of Donuts, Ray Boudreaux, True Detective, Haunted Collector, Ghost Adventures, Destination Truth, Fact or Fake, and of course she likes Paranormal Review Radio. Congratulations, Susan. Thank you so much for being a fan.
There's that name, Susan, again. Thanks, Susan. Thanks for being a fan. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, just like us on Facebook. That's all you got to do. Paranormal Review Radio.
Well, you know what? We get messages every day, every minute of our lives. Now, whether we choose to hear them is up to us. The messages come from everywhere, from the universe, from our angels, from our guides, from our own consciousness, and from our own dreams. Pay attention to what's being told to you. You may find the answers that you're searching for, and all you had to do was close your eyes. We want to thank Pamela and all of the callers tonight. What a wonderful show this has been. So, we do know that our minds are very powerful. We have the ability to convince ourselves of many things: how we look, how we feel, even what we see. So, when it comes to the paranormal, do we want to experience something paranormal so badly that we're capable of manifesting activity? Are we creating the evidence we claim to find, or are we really connecting? In the 1970s, a mathematician, geneticist, A.R. Owen, conducted a series of experiments where a fictional man was created on paper. Then Dr. Owen, his name is A.R. Owen, and his group attempted to contact the spirit of this character, who was named Philip. Now, what Dr. Owen found was fascinating and very eye-opening. The experience has been made into a movie that was just released in April called The Quiet Ones. So make sure you're here next Friday night as we review the Philip experiment. We want to thank everyone for taking the time to join us. You know, you guys really make our Friday nights. Thank you, Anthony, for making my head hurt with your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So, until next week, dear peeps, keep that connection to the other side open and have a paranormal week. Good night.
And to all moms out there, have a very special and happy Mother's Day. Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.